tell me, or tell, so we can kind of hear where you're from, and like go for the, say like the region, but also like more specifically the name of the town, and more or less where it is located. So you can start with that.
So I'm Muayad, and I live.
Don't talk to the camera. Talk to me.
Okay, I'm Muayad. I live in Palestine, more specifically the West Bank, in Ramallah, which is slightly mid-north of the West Bank.
Okay, and so what cases do you, what places do you have to, or in which place that you go to or that you used to go to when you lived there? How many checkpoints, or were there any checkpoints from getting to, I don't know, from your house to school?
Yes, it depended on where I was going.
Okay.
If I was going to my older school, it would have been 2, sometimes 3 checkpoints. If I was going to visit my grandparents, for example, or most of my extended family actually, who live in one of the villages near Ramallah, it would be also 2 to 3.
Okay.
If I was going somewhere in the south to visit someone else, like we have other family and friends in the south that we don't visit very often because of the situation right now. But when we went there, it also depended, but it could be up to 5, 6 checkpoints. Because the thing is, these checkpoints are not really, there are a few permanent checkpoints, like the main ones in certain locations. Like for example, one between Ramallah and Jerusalem. There's one between Gaza Strip and the West Bank. And there's a few others that are permanently there. But depending on the situation, there are these temporary checkpoints that they set up. For example, if they, like right now in Gaza Strip, the situation, there's daily incursions there, and they set up temporary checkpoints, whatever they feel is needed, depending on the day.
So, is there a difference in the measures or the security checks between a temporary checkpoint and a permanent checkpoint? Like, do they do different things to let you go? Or
yes. Actually, recently, especially after 2002, those permanent checkpoints have become more like airport securities, really. Where they have, some of them even have metal detectors, they check your luggage, they check everything. The temporary ones are mostly, they just, generally they have a list of people that they're looking for, and they just check your ID. Sometimes they just check the trunk of the car, or check your luggage or something like that. It depends, but the permanent ones tend to be more time consuming to go through. And they check more things, and
do you need?
they're tougher.
Do you have only one kind of ID, or do you have, or are there? Do you have a number of documents that you have to have?
No, there's only one ID that
Okay.
you have, but Palestinians themselves do have different IDs depending on where they were born. So some have what they call the Jerusalem IDs, and those are allowed to go into Israel. But people like me have the Palestinian Authority issued IDs. And those are not allowed to go through. And the only distinction is that one is blue and one is green, and it also says where you were born.
The blue and green, as in, what does it mean? Blue is from?
Blue is the Jerusalem one.
Jerusalem.
Those are allowed to move around more freely, and they have special car license plates actually.
Oh, okay. I've also heard about the mail. Do you get mail for taxes or something like that in particular envelopes that are green or blue, or is it like that as well? Or
I don't know about actually. Maybe I don't know, but I know that the mail goes through Israel, and
all the mail goes through everything that
international mail that goes there goes through Israel, and then they give it to us, as far as I know. But in terms of different packages, I don't know. Maybe not aware of it.
Is there any any anecdote that you have that was, I don't know, unusual, or maybe even funny, or perhaps something memorable that happened while you were out there and probably
Well,
driving.
the funny thing is that it really becomes part of your daily life. So if I just go through any.
So the question was there anything memorable that happened to you, or anything unusual about when you were going through a checkpoint or on the way to somewhere, like anything that you remember?
Yeah. Well, it really, as I've said before, it becomes part of people's daily lives, really. So if I go ahead and tell you any story, probably it will sound unusual to you, but it's normal to me, or it becomes normal after a while. So for example, if I tell you that you have to go through a metal detector just to go to Burlington, that would sound, absurd to you. But for me, and it was for me at the beginning when they first installed the metal detectors or started the checkpoint between Ramallah and Jerusalem. But now it's become very normal for me. So if I go, if all I have to do is just go through this metal detector, this is a good day for me, and they didn't really delay me or anything.
Okay. What else? What else? What besides the checkpoints? What other measures are there in place, or what other? How else do the Israeli authorities?
Mm-hmm.
What else do they do that sort of makes that has to do with where you can go and what places can you can visit, or where you can go freely?
Well, it really depends on where you are. The thing about although the area itself is very, very small, the whole area is smaller than Vermont, including Israel and the West Bank and Gaza Strip.
Right.
But it really depends where you live. So if you talk to someone from the north, their situation is very different. The checkpoints that they have are probably different. Someone from Gaza Strip, they're different. But
so for
in general, for example, there is right now. Well, there's the whole wall that they started building about 4 years ago, I think, and that physically restricts people's movements, especially a couple of the cities in the north. They're pretty much cut off from the rest of the West Bank, and there will be certain exits where they can go through, and they're monitored. There is, it also depends on where you come from. Gaza Strip, the north, not as much where I live. Curfews every now and then. That's about the two main ones are they're building the wall, which is going to be a huge restriction to a lot of people's movements, and the checkpoints.